Hey, how is everyone today? We're gonna be doing Spider-Man 2099. Don't worry. I know it looks like you just went to school, but we're gonna do fun stuff. This is where we left it the other day. We're gonna do. The only thing I did additionally is kind of block out where the planes were: foreground, middle ground, background, that kind of stuff. So this is something that I don't normally do, but I feel like if we're going to be chipping away at this over the next couple of days, that this is going to help me do that. Otherwise, like, I may put it down and pick it back up and be totally lost as to what we were doing. So we are going to get to this, but I saw a couple other streams that were talking about art and comics and all that kind of stuff, and they were saying, well, you know, you when you start doing art, you got to do it correctly, and if you nab somebody's, YouTube technique and you try it out, and then you have to problem solve it, and you don't understand what the technique is based on, that it's going to start to fall apart. And while that might necessarily be true, you kind of just like, I think the best thing to do with art, and I think this is something that this person missed the mark of, and I feel like the reason they missed the mark is because they've been working professionally for so long that they have just been doing this forever, and they work in a structure where they have to explain themselves, in a corporation where they have to explain themselves, and when you start, you're not there. You're just trying to find your footing, and certainly you should take life drawing classes and like learn techniques through teaching, but like not everybody's afforded that opportunity, and I don't want anyone to think that they can't make art because they don't have like access to classroom environments. Like, that's absurd. So learn on YouTube, try stuff out. I started doing comics drawing, just like copying Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane, and like, it just, you just use what you have on hand. Everybody does. So I just wanted to, like, I don't know, I feel like there's this elitism that is within art that can suck all the fun out of it and make you feel like, oh, there's a certain way that we have to make art, and that isn't true at all. And the reason I bring this up too is because I wanted to talk about when I started coloring. I didn't know what I was doing, and when I was like a sophomore in college, like, I was making terrible art, and it wasn't like I was like, taking a ton of art classes for color. I took one color theory class, which was taught out of a very thin book, and then we basically made these little swatches of color to illustrate the point that, like, color affects the other color around it, which is pretty basic. So we did that, and then we had one class on, like, glad to have you here, listen and lurk as much as you like. And then I had one other class 2 years later that was like coloring for comic books, and because everybody within SCAD was doing black and white work, they weren't doing color at all, and they didn't have any practice with it. And even though that we took one color theory class in foundations, like, we got here and like everybody was in the fucking weeds. Like, it was just, there were some terrible projects that were turned in, and myself included. Like, I was just starting to dabble with it, but I think because I had focused a little earlier than everybody else on color, that I was a little better off. But I'm sure if I look back on my projects, I'm sure they were not good. So I wanted to say that, like, when I started, here, I'm going to bring up, so this is my mouse pad normally. Well, all the time, not normally. Yeah. So when I started, here's a color wheel. And here's kind of color relationships. So you have, like, monochromatic is pretty self-explanatory. You pick a color and then you just, like, you do that. You make everything that. I would take a page and I would just wash it, like, 30 to 60% with like a color, a bright color. And then I would go in after that and just put shadows in. And that's all I was doing. Like, really, it was not, I was not like a very cerebral, like, you know, I don't know. It was not unapproachable is what I'm saying. Like, you can get decent results just doing that. And then I was doing that, and I was doing a little bit of complementary, which is on the color wheel, if you are on one side of the wheel doing one shade, then you're on the other side doing the other shade. So red and green, or purple and yellow, or blue and orange. Movie posters do a lot of blue and orange. Rico, you know all this. Get out of the chat. Somebody ban that guy. No one ban him. So basically, I was doing like either monochromatic, or when I felt real frisky, doing two colors. Like, and that's all I was doing. Like, you know, this stuff is not unapproachable, and I don't want you to be in art streams and feel like, oh my god, I really got to dedicate myself because this stuff is just really off the rails, because it's not. Like, you can start doing this early on and get decent results if you just practice. That's all art is practice. So I was going to do a bunch of color studies for this image, but I think this is like way too fucking complex. I think we're going to try to do color studies for something else. We're going to try to do something a little simpler, maybe 2 planes rather than like 5. What I'm saying is Rick Leonardi fucked us, is what happened. He fucked us out of content, but we're gonna start to get in on this. So in the vein that I was just saying, like, you know, I was just washing, like, that's how I start, is I just like take a whole section and like wash it with color. So we're gonna take all the buildings back here and kind of like hit them with a little bit of orange, and the black channel is on, so we're gonna turn that off. So I'm just washing them with like 30% of that orange, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you know, like we're still like mixed in a little yellow. We're gonna tweak the backgrounds a little bit, and like, not only does this not have to be perfect, but like we can experiment as much as we want, you know, like there's no real wrong answer. We're gonna take Spidey here and put him in a little bit of blue, and we are on the black channel again. So what I want to do is put Spider-Man forward from everybody else, but what's happening now is like everything's kind of flattening out. So we can just easily just go back, boom. We're back to the basics. So yeah, but I've wiped my thing. That's all right. I wiped out the planes, but we can fuck around. It's fine. Let's take this and just wipe the whole thing with blue and then start pulling out parts that we like. So let's make Spider-Man pop forward with like a lighter blue. Let's make the buildings go backwards a little bit. We're gonna purple them up. I think that, yeah, these guys are all selected. So let's take all these guys, and we want these guys to light up, so let's take them and put them in like a red. That doesn't look good. Maybe like a pink. Yeah, so they're starting to come forward. We're gonna take the cop cars and kind of they're like an orange in the book. And I think I kept them orange for Deadpool 2099, so that like they all kind of went together. But you know, like I was saying before, there's like no wrong answers with this stuff. you just kind of experiment until it works. And I'm just taking the palette, like pieces that look good, and washing them with color until they work. It's very like, my technique is very square peg round hole. Like, how do I get this to look good? I don't know. Keep working it until it looks good. You know, it's not, like I was saying before. Like, I'm not a very like cerebral. Hey Vash, what's up? I'm not a very like cerebral colorist. You know. And I don't think you necessarily have to be. Like, I think you just have to have like an eye for composition and an eye for legibility and that sort of thing. So right now, what I'm doing as far as like composition goes is like, this building on the left and this building on the right are gonna frame the whole action. So they're gonna be the darkest thing, so that not only does like Spider-Man pop forward and everything gets framed, and this stuff will be the lightest part. So it'll create an action that like goes down like kind of like that, you know, in a diagonal way. I'm pointing at the screen, but you can't see it. It's going to go diagonally down. So you're going to start here in the halt, and you're going to end here, Spider-Man 2099. And that's the goal. And, you know, Rick did a really good job, even though he made an incredibly complex image. He did a really good job at directing the eye. And I think that, I mean, at the time too, like, he was ahead of his time. I think, but I'm partial to the work that he does. So we're gonna put like a nice trim, and it's like evening here. We got leather seats. We're gonna lighten these guys up a little bit so that they're a little more legible. Blonde up the hair. But it is the evening, so like this vehicle back here is probably gonna fade back a little bit more. So we're gonna add a little bit of blue, a little bit of purple. So the thing about the Spider-Man 2099 universe is that, in the 2099 universe in general, is that even though it's night, even though it's dark, these buildings are all going to be like lit up like Christmas trees. Everything here is going to be like, all the lights are on. So we are going to try to unify all the lights in like a little bit of way, so that like the goal of unifying all the lights is that we're not adding like a fuck ton of color into the palette. We can keep it relatively simple, even though it's a complex image. So that it's like nice and legible. And these buildings in the back are probably like all just going to be straight light. But let's kind of pink them up. And then like the stars and stuff back here, we're going to wash with like a dark blue. And we're gonna throw a grad through the sky, but I don't know if we're quite there yet. We're still kind of working on our palette. So these buildings are gonna silhouette a little bit more, and we're gonna add some highlights in back here, especially like these. Like, this was like, I don't know if this was a thing back in the day or like a technique that artists don't really use anymore, but like they'll just take entire chunks out of a building for like a light source, like weirdly in the background. The artist Scott Kobelish on Deadpool 2099, which comes out August 16th, he was doing the same thing, and I don't know if it's just like this is just the way that people drew back then, and he is still doing that, you know, like an old habit kind of thing, or if like I just only noticed it with this stuff, or what. But at any rate, I think it's kind of neat, and we're going to try to lean into it more than the original colors did. All right. So these buildings in the back, so these buildings are kind of like in the middle, and we want to light them up, because I think that if we do, they're going to create like, it's going to kind of almost create like weird speed lines in the composition. Like the light buildings are going to make everything kind of slant down. So we're going to try to lean into that. So additionally, I found out that I made Twitch affiliate like 17 days ago and did not even realize. This is how important the stream maintenance. I was like, let's just get the stream working and then we'll figure out the maintenance later. But I guess now we have to figure out the maintenance. It's cool that I made you know, an affiliate, but I have not embraced it yet. And we're gonna try to do some cool stuff for that. We're gonna do some emotes, I guess, which is something I was not thrilled about doing, but because like I don't want to maintain them is the thing. Is like once an emote gets made, if it's not being used, I don't want to have to be like, oh, okay, let me figure out another emote. Thank you for the follow, Rico. Rico's another very talented colorist. He does a bunch of books that are all really great. You should Google Rico and check out his books. He works on Squirrel Girl. He works on Spider-Gwen. Does good stuff. So, all right. So I kind of like that the cycles have this kind of like purple orange thing going on, and like I was saying before, those things are kind of like opposite on the color wheel, but even though they look good, thank you Night Thrasher, great name, even though they look good, I think that we want the bikes to interact. If we put purple in the bikes and then we have purple in the like far background, then those things are going to compete. So even though it's like a nice idea, we're going to keep the palette but cut the purple, if that makes any sense. We're going to just try to do our best to warm up the purples that are down here. Oh man, this one turned out great. Let's do that color. Yes, perfect. All right, and you know, a lot of this too, once we start to get into it, a lot of the we're gonna put a lot of color in like the highlights and shadows. So even though it looks like it's like kind of a little bit of a mess right now, we still haven't even started adding value in. And I mean, we probably are going to start with the night sky when we start to put value in. We can lighten up that dude's shirt. This dude is in green, so we can make him match the buildings a little bit. When I started working on Atomic Robo back in the day, I did 2 arcs with those guys, and we did the first like maybe like 10 pages that I handed in, because it was like a new project. When I work on a new project, I like to hand in 10 pages at for the first 10, so that they can see what I'm doing, and if they have any notes, like I can like not correct 20 pages, I could just correct 10 and then go forward with the notes. And they Scott was like, this is really great, but he was like, I don't know why you need like 5 different shades of basically the same blue on this. Like, just cut it down to 1 shade, you know. Make it have like a little bit of economy to it. And that one little note like made me start thinking about color very, very differently. That one little note made me want to like kind of consolidate color as much as possible. And so that's why we're doing that with like the green in his arm and the green in the building back here. Because like once we get in and start putting the shadows and everything in, like you're not gonna have any problem breaking that up. But you are, by having less color, there's like less shit that could go wrong. And that was kind of like where I started when I was talking about like, you know, monochrome and like two color opposite color wheel kind of things. When I started was that you know, I was trying to just make like less things go wrong. If there's less moving parts, less shit can go wrong. Man, I really want like, this has got to be like red, but because Spider-Man's the most important thing. So let's pop him forward. Let's make him the brightest thing on the page. I wonder if we can kind of, yeah, that's looking good. All right. And we're going to take like the little insides here and pink those up as well. That's what we just did to Spider-Man. Pink this guy up. We're just trying to create like cohesion. So what it looks like is where we're ending up is going to be like kind of a blue purple and then like a red green. So it's like kind of opposite but kind of not. It's kind of like split complementary. I just looked at my mouse pad. I don't know if you could tell that. I had to look up the term. There's no shame in it. We do what we can. All right. We're going to make these transparent, by the way. These are going to look fucking awesome when we're done. And I'm really excited to get to that point. But we just want to I just want to make sure that everything on the page is kind of where we want it. And let's like pink up the skin tones here. She has darker skin than the rest of the people in the car. We can actually, let's darken up a couple other people too, or one other person at least. So that's not all just like a fucking bucket of whiteys. Because that's not the way the world looks. That was also something that like was tough in the beginning of my career before I like could really understand color. Was white people's skin basically like doesn't have any color in it. Like it's got a little bit, like it's a little peachy, but like, so when I was washing stuff with color, when I took like a palette and just washed something with blue, their skin tones took the color really well, and I wasn't smart enough to figure out how to make you know, people of color like look decent. Like I just didn't have the skill. It wasn't that I didn't want to. I just like every time there was a black person on the page or any type of person of color, I was just like, oh my god, like I can't figure this out. It was getting like too dark. The techniques I were using at the time that I was like kind of like stuck in like weren't working for people of color because they were so dark to begin with. And so I didn't end up putting a lot of people of color in. And at the time, I feel like nobody was calling me on it. And then I got one note back from something. I don't remember what it was. But they were like, hey, you know, it's the world. It's New York City. Maybe you should put some people of color in there. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm a better colorist now. I can definitely do that. And so I've been trying to like really like make it a point to put people of color into more and more books now. I think it's important to populate the world the way that it actually looks. instead of like this weird, like, I don't know, I don't even know what it was. It was just like me not having the knowledge base. All right, so we're starting to get to like a good point. And this looks a lot different than where it started, I think. Yeah, so this is like, what you're looking at right now is like pretty close to what the actual page that went to print. They did a lot of shadows and highlights on Spider-Man, but that was about it. So we've already like drastically changed what's going on between you know, the relationships of everything on the page. The colors that were on the page originally were readable. Like, this is readable. But this kind of like, you get a darker nighttime feel. And that's what we want to try to do. Excuse me. We want to make the world feel alive and dark and lit up is the goal, because the 29.9 stuff's all like crazy neon. So let's go in and kind of take this green and try to find, so like this is like a light back here. We are on the black, and I'm just murdering freaking Rick Leonardi's lines like an asshole. And let's just kind of like, all right, light source there, light source there, light source there, and we're gonna put like pink lights in here that are gonna go with the building a little bit, but I also want to give it that like kind of neon aesthetic that is in the 2099 universe. Like these kind of like splotches of light that I'm putting in, I kind of think of them as like, you know, those like lights they put on towers so that planes don't fly into them, like that kind of thing. You're colorblind? You're fine, don't worry about it. I had a colorblind friend in a painting class when I was in high school, and he just kind of painted like he sees it, you know, like he asked the teacher at the time, he was like, should I paint it like I see it, or should I paint it like it's supposed to be? And she was like, paint it like you see it. So it was like a really interesting look into like how he sees the world. All right, so what I think is going to be probably the most important piece of all of this is the grad that we put in the background here, because it can't be like so loud that it like competes with everything. Excuse me. So we're going to try to, but it's got to be like, at the same time, it's got to be like interesting. And convey night. See, like that's too bright. Maybe just like a little bit up there, so it's just in the corner here. And like, since this world is so lit up, like we can kind of do like really light it up at the bottom. And this is kind of what I did in the or where my head was at for the Deadpool 2099 stuff too, was that like, you know, these pages should like drip with color, you know. The world's full of neon, everything's lit crazily, you know, it should be kind of out of control. So we're gonna put some stars in the back. This is kind of stuff that they were not able to do back in the day, really, unless they were like doing it by hand. I don't know if those necessarily work. Maybe something a little darker. Yeah. So we can kind of fix these guys too. This splotch is like just a little bit too big. Do I think stars are real? Yes. Yes, stars are real. Although if you read comics in the 1980s, they would say stars are not real. None of them had stars. I challenge you to find a comic book from the 1980s that had stars. So we have this dark side of the building, and we know it's dark because the artist had like zip toned it. And we are gonna just throw kind of like a grad through the whole thing. Oh, we don't want it on the lights though. The lights have to light. All right, that's starting to look cohesive. We're gonna take these background buildings and just throw a grad in the back so that they look more like the background, and we're gonna colorize that line art so that it starts to kind of like kind of fall into the background. Yeah, that one girl's looking right at Spidey and pointing at Spidey's butt. Yeah, I know she's like trying to point out Spider-Man, but she's really like, look at Spider-Man's butthole. I don't know. But you know what? If I saw Spider-Man, I might say that too. He's wearing tight clothes. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just Spider-Man's thing. Alright. So, like I said, this thing is like ending up very rainbow. I said that in the previous stream, and we're starting to get there. To back it up, like, this is where we started. This is where we are now. And we're starting to like get off the rails, which is great. I love it. I love it. I love doing this kind of stuff. Spider-Man's silhouette starting to like kind of compete with the building here. So we're just gonna like kind of pink it up. I don't know if that's gonna work though. I mean, maybe he won't compete once we start to put in highlights, which is why I made the building darker a little bit. I wonder if we throw like a dark grad in it, if it'll start to like really push back. And we can throw just like a little highlight in the corner. So yeah. Man, so like I like that, but it's a little too gray, and that's not really the headspace that I want to be in. But we can't really put blue down, so let's just use like a, yeah, that's looking a little bit better. But you know what, we can probably amp it up just a little bit with the color balance. Yeah, that's starting to look good. Okay, all right, we're starting to get there. Let's kind of work like back to front. Work on the buildings in the back here. Let's light them up, and then we're gonna do like the buildings in like the way back, and then knock out the line art for them, and then we're gonna start to work on the putting little details into the buildings in the like middle ground. And then we'll start with like the bikes and stuff, and then Spider-Man. That's the plan. I've already been streaming for like 37 minutes, so we can stream for like another hour probably, and we'll just see how far we get. Apologies, I'm gonna move the mic real quick. I'm still trying to like sort out where the microphone should be and if you guys can hear me all right, so kind of bear with me. All right, so let's kind of just paint in some highlights back here for the buildings. I don't know if any of you guys have been picking up comics regularly, or if you're hitting up the shop at all, but I just read Jordi Belair's, who is an incredible Eisner Award-winning colorist. She just wrote her first thing called her first book called Redlands. It just came out through Image. She did like a short story from Dark Horse a while ago too. That was real good. That girl has more energy than anyone else I know. Like, I don't know how she's finding the time to do all this stuff, but I read Redlands and it was real good, and I would recommend it. It just came out a little while ago. You should go down to your local shop and pick it up. Just came out yesterday. And I actually just read Mr. Miracle by Tom King and Mitch Gerardis as well. And that is that's real good. If you're into comic books in general, you will love those books. Jordy's is a horror book, full disclosure. So you got to kind of love horror if you want to go in for that stuff. But it's real good. It's set in Florida, which I appreciated. I think she's from Florida. But yeah, I really loved it. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys, yeah, you're hoping to pick up Redlands. Yeah, it was really strong. Like, I went in like not really knowing what it's about or like reading any interviews or anything like that. And I was like more impressed than I thought I would be. Like, it's just, she wrote it so, she's so good. Like, she should not be that good. I don't know. It resonated with me, and I'm like still thinking about it. So I think that's a mark of a good comic book. I don't know if you guys can tell, but like I've been participating more on yeah, the opening is so awesome. Yeah, she crushed it. It's so good. There's like, it doesn't try to like spell, I hate when comics like spell shit out for you. I hate when books are like, here's this thing and we're doing this now because of this thing, and like, you know, they really like spoon feed you, and that book does not do that. That book, she definitely like gives you just enough to understand what's going on in like context. Like, you're never like being talked at, you know? Yeah, and of course the colors are well handled. She does a great job. You know, I didn't think that she wasn't going to. You know, she's Eisner Award winning for a reason. She's an incredible artist. But yeah, so everyone should pick up Redlands. And also pick up Mr. Miracle. Like, there's things going on in Mr. Miracle that Miracle. There's things going on in that book that only somebody who's been working together with a colorist for a really long time, or somebody who's coloring themselves, like Mitch is, that he's doing in that book that you're not going to find anywhere else. There's like, when you make like all the art yourself, you make all the decisions. And I posted on my Twitter, I was talking about, there's like a panel where Mr. Miracle has like, I keep saying Miracle. Mr. Miracle? I've tripped myself up. You know the thing where you like say a word so many times that you don't know what the word is anymore? Where we've hit that point. But there's a part where he's being punched by Orion, and Mitch drew something that like kind of dude, it was so good. Did you read it, Ziggy? That's fake McCoy in the chat. there's a part where he's getting punched, and Mitch drew the line for the top of the leg and not the bottom of the leg, and then just gestured in the color, and it worked so well. Like, if you were reading it quickly, and the reason it works is not because, like, you know, the way that he's created the world and the way that he's drawn the world made that decision work well. If you just, like, if Rick Leonardi did that for this book, it would look fucking weird, because this book is like a, you know, Spider-Man 2099 is like a polished, you know, thing. It's very mainstream kind of project. And so he has different kinds of goals when he does something like that. And yeah, the way Mitch engineered the way the world works and how it looks has been different from, I feel like, a little different from his career. I read his Punisher run, but I haven't read Sheriff yet. I own it, but I haven't read it. I think I might dig it out, because if Mr. Miracle is any indication, it deserves a read. But yeah, I thought that, you know, it made me think about comics a little differently. I think the same thing is going on that, like, Mike and I kind of stumbled into with Cave Carson, where, you know, like, we've just built a world, a visual language for the world that is so fucking weird that you know, we can kind of get away with anything. Like, I was doing some crazy shit this last issue, where I was taking scans of Cave Carson's, like, showcase stuff from 1960 and turning it into zip tone, and then, like, dropping it into the world and using it like that. And you know, and within the context, one of the characters, I don't want to spoil anything, but one of the characters is thinking about their past, thinking about memories. And the memories go all the way back to that stuff. And so it was like a nice nod. It worked really well. And so I'm kind of realizing the value in getting out of your comfort zone. I think that's important. Having a clear art direction and getting out of your comfort zone is really important. You can't, unless, you know, you're just like, hey, we're doing, I don't know, a superhero book. What's a like fairly run of the mill superhero book? I can't even think of anything. But, you know, if you're just like doing Batgirl to do Batgirl, like, and you're not trying to do, like, Batgirl of Burnside, then, you know, like, you don't have to think about it that much. But man, I feel like, I don't know, I've been, for a long time, I was kind of meh on comics, like, and I've just recently, like, refound them, fell in love with them, and I'm, like, energized. Like, I read that Mr. Miracle, and it makes me want to, like, try shit. It makes me want to, like, just get fucking weird with shit. Obviously we're not gonna get too weird with Spider-Man, but because I'm trying to, like, the goal of this is to drag Spider-Man 2099 into the 2099 universe that we set up with Deadpool, which is this kind of, like, rainbowed neon universe. Oh yeah, those buildings looking good, purple as hell. So if you checked the color theory color wheel, you would see, like, this kind of purple is opposite the yellow that we have down, and so that's why these two things are working. And part of the other reason why this kind of works is that I'm trying to figure out what we're doing down here, because we can just do it. Oh my god, we can just do it purple like that. But I think we're gonna probably put like some kind of glow or something under there to like, because the purple's like really standing out there, and then like kind of standing out here, and then like really working here. So maybe we gotta wash this with like a green or a yellow, but that's just gonna turn to gray. Huh. What are we gonna do? Maybe just when in doubt, play with sliders. I think that's what we're gonna do. When in doubt, play with sliders until it looks good. Cause like, here's the reason why it's not working as well. These buildings back here are fading into the background. They're a little bit darker and lighter than the purple that's back here. So it looks like they're pretty far away. It's atmospheric perspective. But that same trick, and I mean, like, it kind of works down here because it looks like a continuation, but that same trick here doesn't work because that yellow is like not this purple. You know, like, these are very different colors. So let's play with the slider, see if we can get it to like a better place. Maybe like that. Yeah, that's starting to look good. And we got like a weird blue that's just thrown in there. I kind of like that weird blue. It's like somebody, you know, were gonna change their green light, and then they got confused, or like they were out of green at the store, and the guy like ended up with a blue light, and he's like, fucking close enough. All right. So one of the things that I wasn't sure on is like this part of the vehicle. I can't really tell. I think it is. It kind of looks like part of the vehicle, and it kind of looks like part of the apartment, but let's make it all part of the vehicle. That way we don't have any kind of like weird overlap. All right, so that's handled. Let's go one step forward into the back to front and start working on these buildings back here. So this building's kind of weird in that like it's inked black to like, the reason it's weird is because this side of the building here is black, and this like it's full on black, like took a black Sharpie in there and tore it up. And then like this side's light, so then you would think that like maybe this is the brightest part, but then you turn to like this building and like this is the darkest part. So like you would think that these two things would kind of like correspond, but I guess the building's like a weird enough shape that maybe we can get away with flipping it and it not looking too weird. Let's try it. So we have that blue and that blue. Let's just, that's not the color we're gonna use, but I just kind of wanted to flip the colors that we were gonna use. Does that look weird? Yeah, see, now that's starting to look weird. Because, like, if this guy's in shadow and it's like a heavy shadow, then like this should be in shadow too. So yeah, that doesn't work at all. Maybe we can just end up like fucking putting the whole building in like a weird shadow, like a weird green shadow like we did over here. But I feel like that, I don't know, that like cheats it. I don't know. It cheats the drawing. Let's see if we can. Alright, we're gonna get in and like kind of paint some crap until it works. Zipatone it. Yeah, I was thinking about that, but dude, so you should read the new Deadpool series, Zach. This trade paperback that's coming out collects Deadpool 6, 9, 12, and 19 and 25, I think, which is like all the 2099 stuff, which is self-contained. So if you're looking for 2099 stuff, that's probably your best bet. But if you're just looking to get into Deadpool, you should start with, I think, the first trade of theirs. It's I did a handful of stories in addition to the Deadpool 2099 stuff, and it's all good. And then the stories that I wasn't working on, Jordi Belair, who we were talking about Redlands, was coloring Mike Hawthorne, who's incredible as well. So the reason I don't want to Zipatone it, Rico, and I know where your headspace is at. You're like, let's fucking go nuts. Let's go Cave Carson on this thing. And like, it's kind of set up for that, but I don't want to like, I have like so much, I have a lot of respect for the 2099 stuff. Like I read it as a kid, and oh, you read them on the iPad? Yeah. Comixology, you're all good. I think that like Ziggy was saying that like there's like a Marvel Universe $70 a year, I think, and you get like a ton of old comics to read. And a lot of the Deadpool stuff was in there. I think all of the 2099 Deadpool stuff was in there. If you want to just like go and have a pile. Marvel Unlimited, yeah. So the reason I don't want to Zipatone it is because I want to stay true to like what Rick Leonardi did, and I don't want to like step on his toes. But if I was just doing this to go, if I was doing this for like a job, I might consider Zipatoning it, because it wouldn't be sacred to me if it was just coming out. This is the shit that like, I think I was talking to you and Nathan Fairbairn a while ago about like trying to recolor Mobius, and like thinking about that made me a little nauseous. Like I just feel like I don't know. There's like some things in comics that are a little bit sacred, and I don't want to fuck with it too much. And that might just be like, you know, my own nostalgia and that kind of thing. But yeah, I just can't. I can't. So we're just kind of bopping in some lights. Kind of a weird, like Fake McCoy was saying in the chat, we're, you know, buildings, glass, reflections, whatever. And, you know, looking at like how gestured in the windows are when we zoom in here, it looks like this. I was just saying, you know, like how sacred it is to me. It looks like it was not sacred to Rick Leonardi. Or maybe my scan wobbled, I don't know. So I turned off all my fans for the stream because, you know, the microphone is here, and I don't want it picking up the fan noise, and it is fucking hot in Florida, and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm sweating a little bit. Sweating on the Cintiq, the hot ass Cintiq. So we're gonna just drop like a shadow in there, and then let's try to I missed that part right there. We're gonna just throw, I don't know. This building's very strange. I don't know if this was like Rick's decision or if it was the inker's decision to like do what we did on, you know, do the line art that happened, but I don't think it was the right decision. You know, if Bleeding Cool is out there, you know, feel free to run a story where Nick Filardi goes after 1992 inker choices on one panel. I'm sure that's a hot headline. We're just throwing like a weird like cast shadow down here because I kind of don't know what else to do with it, but here we are. And we can continue the cast shadow up here. But yeah, the Deadpool books are great. I'm working on a run with Deadpool right now that's like Deadpool versus Cable. What number is it? Shit. I have it written on the board, but it's way far back there. I think it's like it starts at like 289, I think. But I'm not exactly sure. Oh my god. I'm trying to drag my hand across the thing and I'm like sweating bullets. So we had to zoom out so that I could get like a clean drag. Because I cannot drag my hand. Comics are disgusting. And yeah, I'd recommend all the Deadpool stuff. If you're into if you want to get into comics, Deadpool's like a really approachable thing, I feel like, because he bumps into a lot of heroes, but they're never the heroes that he like hangs around with are never like really someone that you gotta like know the full history of, because Deadpool will mock that full history, and also just kind of like he doesn't give a shit, and so like it gives you as the reader kind of permission to also not give a shit. Oh yeah, you've read a lot of older Deadpool. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, Deadpool's like a pretty like approachable character. He's made for people who just like want to read a comic and have a good time, you know, and not get too like caught up in the fucking lore bullshit. All right, we're just gonna put little reflections on the awnings. I guess we kind of made her look like she has a halo, but that's fine. Maybe she does. I'm not really going to touch this stuff because it's not super important. This building, finally, we just noodled on it enough for it to start to look like an actual fucking building. Let's get into here. So, yeah, with the affiliate link, apparently I'm going to get like quality options and stuff, which my buddy the Boyks was telling me that, like, that's a good thing and I should do it, because I was like, I wasn't even going to bother to fill in the form because I was like, I don't want to have to manage emotes and subscriptions and shit. And like, here's the thing too, is like, I would rather you buy a comic book. Hey, there's $20.99 right below me, right down there. August 16th. Yeah, it's probably worth it for like the tech stuff, because like it'll give you guys like quality options, which is like helpful on mobile and stuff. But the thing is like, I feel like you should not subscribe to me. Like, as weird as that sounds, is like, you should follow me so that you know when I go live, but you shouldn't. I don't think you should subscribe, because I would rather you like go to the comic shop and like pick up a comic that I worked on, because that way like I get a little something. It's not really, I get that's probably like freaking pennies or fractions of pennies or whatever, but like I would rather you, as like a streamer, you go pick up, be like, hey, I saw your stream and I picked up some of your comics and I really liked this one. Let's talk about it. Like, I find that infinitely more rewarding than like anything else. Than like getting a subscription and then seeing $1 out of that subscription a month or however much it is, you know? Because like this is not, I'm not trying to like be like I'm a full-time streamer. Like, no, man, I love coloring. Like, I love comics, and I don't really want to like, I don't know. Like, the reason that I'm doing this is so that you guys can see what I do a little bit and understand like coloring a little bit more, and maybe get exposed to some cool books. So let's yeah, step behind the curtain. So, you know, never subscribe to me, but I am gonna make some emotes. maybe those are worth subscribing to. I don't know, man. I was thinking about lifting Kelly Fitzpatrick's colorist Illuminati. Oh, I'm not the Spider-Gwen person though. That's Rico. Rico needs to start a stream, make Spider-Gwen icons and emotes. I should make a Carson emote. I didn't even think about that. Making fucking, God, now my brain's buzzing. But yeah, I was gonna make like a colorist Illuminati emote that I was gonna lift from Kelly, and then like maybe an emote that says this is art, and then maybe a this is not art. That'd be kind of funny. Yeah, I don't know. I got a couple ideas. I'll tell you what I'm not going to do is what every streamer does and makes an emote of their face. I feel like that is like the weirdest fucking thing. Sorry if you were hoping for that. For the Nick Flaherty face emote. Someone made an emote of your face? That is real weird. Like, it's not even your stream and you're just like, let's make that face emote. I can't even say it with a straight face. That's real strange. Fucking Rico's gonna make a Spider-Gwen emote and a Nick Flaherty's face emote. Oh, there you go. Rico's gonna make my face emote, and I'm gonna be furious. So, like, I'm just kind of gesturing in a little bit of color, a little bit of rendering on these buildings because I don't want it to be too in depth, because it's going to start, if the rendering's perfect and intense, then it's going to start to compete with the Spider-Man silhouette that's happening and all the other stuff that's happening, like the car and everything, and it's all going to start to compete with each other. So what we're going to try to do instead is just make it simple and make it fairly not like hard darks, hard lights, you know. Yeah. Are those on YouTube, Ziggy? They shouldn't be. They should, you know what? I'm gonna get my lawyer on this. This is a breach of what, you're using my identity without my permission. No contracts were signed. I don't see any piece of this. Alright, we're gonna... I do want to fuck with this, but we'll mess with it later. The weird transparent like webbing that he has. We're gonna mess with it in a second. Made millions? Curses. I knew it. I fucking knew it. I had fun in that class. Fake McCoy and I went to Savannah College of Art and Design together, and we did a animation 1 class out of the comic book like circuit. I don't know if you can hear my dog. He keeps like getting off and on the bed from your boat. Yeah, your luxury yacht. All that sweet Nick Flaherty likeness money. So we did an animation class as like an elective, and we just something that I don't think that, I mean, maybe Ziggy realized this and I did not, but I did not realize it was gonna be that much drawing. I mean, I get it, it's animation, it's drawing, but like, fuck, man, we were in that studio like all the time, just day in, day out. I feel like the projects looked really good, but shit, yeah, we were in there all the time. We watched all of the Planet of the Apes at the time. This was the first time I had seen it. It's a lot of hours. Yeah, we went through a lot of movies. It was cool that it was like a nice big projector up there, though. If I ever like had a studio with a bunch of other people, I think I'd do something similar. Like get a projector, hook it up, so that we can just like put on a movie and like all hang out, you know? But alas, there's only like maybe 2 people here in Gainesville that that do comics, and like one of them, my buddy Larry Watts, that has like a full-time job and a family. Yeah, man, it's no joke the hours you put in. So yeah, Larry's probably out as far as like wanting to start a studio because he has a full-time job and a family. He probably wants to, but I don't know if he can. And then Derek Ballard's the other one. I only just met him. He's a really incredible artist, though. We might work on a thing. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So this is starting to come together. I kind of want to see if we can knock out the blacks for these buildings into like a green tone and see how that looks. I think it might be too much, though. It'd have to be real dark. It might be too much color going on. It might like make everything else look kind of wonky. Because unlike the areas back here, they're putting in like hard shadows. So you know what we're gonna do? So sometimes when I think about this stuff, I just kind of like, before we do, like, I'm going to select everything perfectly. I'll just kind of do like a bad selection and just see how it looks. Could be good. Actually, now that I'm like thinking about it, because it's gonna like pop this guy a little bit, maybe. This kind of stuff, though, like me selecting all of the buildings, all the black lines in all the buildings, is gonna be like fucking mind-numbing for you to watch. I think I might. What are we at? 1 hour 13. If we do end up doing this, I might do this off camera because making the selection is going to be a pain in the butt and take a long time, and it's also not entertaining even a little bit. So yeah. Oh, I forgot that one up there. So this is just, these are imperfect selections, and we're just going to see how it looks. So what we did just now is, I'll back it up. We try to select sloppily. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were doing more animation stuff than comic stuff. Fake McCoy and I also did a little self-published thing that was very fun called Operation Pajama Pants. You guys should find it. I don't know how you find it. I don't even know. Is it on Comixology? I don't even know. Because you were spearheading that, not me. It's about a guy who finds magical god-powered pajama pants. It's funny. It's weird. It is on Comixology. There you go. I might have sold one copy of it. So okay. Let's back it up. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing here. So we're doing exactly what we were doing back here, which is colorizing the line art. How I do it is a lot different than a lot of other colorists do. They will preserve it and whatever, you know, like they're very careful about things. And since I started coloring in like 2003, and the hardware like wasn't really there to do a lot of the tricks, I just never learned the tricks. So my way is like banging two rocks together, which is to say that if we're going to color the black lines, then I'm going to make a giant selection. I'm going to select the black channel, right? I'm going to select the wand, and I'm going to deselect all of the white. So now we are in those selections, in those roped off areas that you saw like a second ago here. We've taken that and we've just gotten rid of all of the white selection. So now we're only on the black selection. Now if you click CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, black over here, and you fill it with a color, it's going to take away all that black. See? Gone. And crap, we're going to have to do that because it does look kind of good. Fuck, I really didn't want to do that, but we're going to end up doing that. Shit. Yeah. In that case, I think, you know what? Let's save our dessert for last, and we're gonna finish off this corner, render these buildings over here, and then when we come back for a part 3, we're gonna do all the characters, and we're gonna kick it off with I'm gonna do the selection stuff like off screen. Let's save it right now before we destroy it. So let's do this area. So this area is kind of funny because we have text over the art. This is not something that I normally have to contest with because usually I just make the art and then the text gets added later. Yeah, we're not turning it off yet. So we're just going to try to not compete. So we're not adding any orange stuff. Actually, we can try to make this like brighter too. We're not going to add any orange, any red. We can make this real red. Make this Spider-Man red. Let's grab that Spider-Man red. Classic Spider-Man. All right. Yeah, I mean, you could barely notice the difference, but here we are. So let's just kind of render. I mean, I kind of want to keep it this like purpley kind of color. We can actually darken these guys up so they pull forward a little. Is this the link to the... Yeah. So we did these ridiculous comic books. Ziggy drew these, and I colored them. God, forever ago. I don't know if the color holds up. I think there's a lot of stuff I would do differently. Look at that. Look at that signature. Amanda Conner and Nick Flaherty. I think this is the only thing that Amanda Conner has gotten colored that hasn't been by her regular colorist. I see it. I put it on screen. I wonder if I repost it in the chat. There you go. Did that pop up? I think because you're not a mod, it doesn't let you. At any rate, yeah, you're not a mod, so it doesn't let you do stuff. So we're gonna try to keep this kind of like purpley, like kind of color, so it doesn't compete with the text, and we're just kind of gonna go in and like add some highlights and make it neon, and you know, make it a brightly lit thing, which is what we did for Deadpool 2099. Let's use a fun color. So I'm just using a brush set to screen, but I think that maybe these domes need a little bit more tender love and care than just brushing in, because they're like kind of very precise. I gotta figure out like what we're gonna do with them. Kind of like taking a chunk out for a shadow. So since they're so precise, the brush was gonna make it look kind of sloppy. That's not what we want to do. Sloppy is not what we want to do. So let's take this green, because it's probably picking up the green from around the other buildings, and kind of work it in. It's turning to gray because we're opposite on the color wheel, but let's fix that. Let's fix it by changing this, the base color. All right, and we're gonna add it. So they put like Rick in the inker, and I should probably learn who the inker is. I said it on the last stream, but I don't want to discount the inker's work, because everybody who worked on this comic should be recognized, just like any comic should recognize everybody involved with it. Colorist, inker, letterer, everybody. One of the things that drives me crazy is like, not that I'm like, I need all the attention, but like, if you want to sell books, Deadpool 2099. Oh, is that a thing? Has somebody already executed on that? It's intellectual property gold. So one of the things that drives me nuts is when, you know, everybody who worked on the comic isn't listed. And the reason that it drives me nuts is because I feel like you're leaving potential money on the table. A buddy of mine who's a manga translator, yeah. Zach, he was saying that he's like, I don't know why you don't shout my name from the rooftops with this book, because he's like, I have fans. I have people who like, I go to shows, people like know me, they like want to read my books, and like, you know, even if it's only like a couple of hundred or like 1,000, like that matters in comics. So I mean, like every single colorist, every single letterer, everybody should get put on the cover, and everybody should be held in equal esteem, I feel like. That said, I don't know who inked this or colored this book originally. We're going to find that out, and I'm going to talk about it. It's Al Williamson. Rico. I trust Rico. He's trustworthy. I'm trying to do like a reflected light. I don't know if it's really working. I think I'm like starting to get in the weeds here. And that kind of worked a little bit. Let's select these. And then try to do like a... Yeah. Yeah, he was prolific back in the day, right? Like, he inked a ton of books. I don't know if he's still working, if he's still inking. The name looks super familiar. Maybe he's just inking all the books that I was reading at the time. I probably should have maybe kept everybody's maybe I'll go back and so originally, so all the credits were on the hood of the car. He's a bigger name. Yeah. Yeah. Originally the names were all on the hood of the car here, but like I really wanted to color the hood of the car and not have that shit in the way. Maybe we'll go back and add them back in. So like this is kind of working, but it's also kind of like starting to blend with the backs of these buildings, but maybe that's okay. Man, I'm like, this is the shit. This is like, you know, you start, like, I'm second guessing this. I'm like, wait, we got to get those domes right, or people won't take me seriously. They'll see the domes. And yet, I'm still fucking with it. Whatever, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it right. They'll see the goddamn domes. That's not right. Maybe a yellow. Oh, now we're competing with the text. Motherfuck. You know what? We're gonna use this slider. Yeah, the people want like a good dome. That's what. If Biodome, starring Pauly Shore, ever taught me anything, it's that people want a good dome. They want one. Yeah, just set that book on fire. Garbage. People want that dome. All right, that looks better. All right, let's just gesture in some stuff now that we spent fucking 3 hours on a dome in a corner covered up by text. God damn, fuck my life. All right. We're just gonna gesture some color in here. Gesture some color. so that the restaurant or whatever that is looks nice and populated. Add a little highlight on this guy that nobody's ever going to see except for you, dear viewer. You're going to look at that guy. So much of this, I feel like so much of coloring is, you know, little stuff like this that nobody notices, but if it isn't there, people notice it, kind of thing. Like, if it doesn't get built like this, then people will notice. But since it does get built like this, no one notices. It's such a weird, like, I don't know, catch-22. I don't know if that's an actual catch-22. Fucking literature. Yeah, and we don't want to go too crazy in there because we're going to start fighting with the text. I'm a dome believer. So when I lived in Philadelphia, I was living with a tattoo artist, and he had come home from the bar very, very drunk, and it was like early in the morning, and I was up early. I don't know why. Sometimes I was on like a sleep schedule of like 30 hours a day, so like, not that I was sleeping 30 hours a day, but you know, I would do like 15 on, 15 off, and so eventually I'd come around the horn. It was not healthy, and he was like coming in, and unbeknownst to me, I think he was coked up. I don't know. I can't remember. He had something in his system. He couldn't go to sleep, and he's like, I'm too messed up to like drive anywhere, but I want McDonald's and I want beer and I need it to go to sleep. So I was like, okay, and I think he gave me like $100, and he gave me like $100 bill, and he was like, go get McDonald's and beer. So I spent $100 on McDonald's and beer. I like, you know, just got a fuck ton of food and like 2 cases of beer, and came back, and he was like, you spent the $100? And I was like, yeah, man, I spent what you gave me. And he was like, fuck, all right. He's like, then you're gonna have to sit down with me and finish this case of beer and eat all this McDonald's while we watch Biodome. And it was a very pleasant experience. I was shit-faced by like noon. It was not it was an interesting time living in that house. That was when I was first starting to try to do this job, and I didn't have any money because like I was working on like 2 books a month because I couldn't handle anything more because I wasn't fast enough, and 1 book wasn't paying me anything, and another book was only paying me like $60 a page. So like I was like broke basically all the time, but it was like, and then I was living in this house with like 4 other people in like the hood of Philadelphia, and you know, I was like locked in, but like I wanted to work in comics so badly that like I was like, this is the way that it gets done, let's do it. So yeah, it was a good time. It was not a time I would ever repeat, but it was a good time. It had to get done. I would not advocate it for anyone. It's not good decision making. We just got follow. Tracing something. Somebody's tracer something just followed. Thank you. I missed it, but thank you. You were underneath the window that I had opened before. I apologize. Yeah, right. But you know, I also lost my Biodome DVD. What was the poor decision? I think all of it was the poor decision. After we watched Biodome, we watched Encino Man, and another Pauly Shore movie. I used to like, so I have like very vivid dreams, and I think it's because I work in a visual medium like all fucking day. But I had this one dream that like son-in-law, maybe it was son-in-law. I had this one dream that like I was home in like my childhood home, and my sister was like, I'm dating Pauly Shore now, and I was just kind of like, yeah, all right, whatever. I don't care. Date whoever you want to date. And my dad was like, I don't know if I trust this guy, like, very like stern dad like. And Pauly Shore comes in to my childhood home in this dream, and he goes to my dad. My dad hands out his hand, and he's like, Pauly, and he goes, "What's up, Pops? I'm the Weasel." And I was like, just in shock, and then woke up. So I feel like Pauly Shore, maybe he's got like he's like seeped into me in some capacity. And maybe I'm alright with that. Dude gets a bad rap. You should reevaluate your life. Shit. It's harsh, but fair, I guess. I also, if anyone was going to be dating a celebrity in my family, I think my sister would have been the one, if she wasn't married already. She just has that outgoing personality that like people gravitate to. She's great. So I think we're done with the corner here. Let's actually punch out this light. All right, I think we're done with the corner here, and I think we're going to be done with the stream for now. Next time we're going to be doing the characters, and we're going to punch out some of the buildings back here, and kind of narrow the focus by doing that. We're going to be putting color, we're going to be using color as a light source on these characters, and I'm going to slow that stuff down for you so you can see how it plays out. In the meantime, check out Deadpool 2099 stuff. We're dragging Spider-Man into the Deadpool 2099 universe that I set up from the past to the future. It's all happening. Send me your Pauly Shore fan art on Twitter. My name's right down there, Nick Phil. I would love to see your Pauly Shore fan art. And yeah, I will see you next time. We're going to be doing, I'm going to try to come back tomorrow. I know I said that the other day, and I did not come back tomorrow. Sometimes days get away from me, but I think that I will be able, oh wait, tomorrow's Saturday. I might not be coming back tomorrow. We'll see. Follow me. You'll see when I go live. You'll get an email. Come hang out. I will see you then. Later, guys.